In this last chapter of the film, I want to show you how to make a simple bead ring. And here it is. It's just made with one bead and a long length of wire. We're going to be using 0.8 again, 20 gauge wire, and this is silver plated. Now, you can measure about 24 inches of wire, and I'm just going to guess it, but I know when I hold it against my arm that is about 1 meter or 24 inches. So I'm going to cut that from the spool right now. And I'm going to thread my chosen bead, I've got a red bead here, and push it to the center of the wire. So if I put the two ends together, I can roughly find the center. It doesn't have to be exact, it's just an approximate place. There it is. Now, I want to make sure that that bead doesn't slip around, so I'm going to bend the wire on each side of the bead so that it's sitting a lot more secure and not going to slip around the wire. Now, to make rings, you obviously need something to wrap them around. This is a ring mandrel, and you will see that it has ring sizes on here. So if you were going to make it for a friend or for yourself, you can ascertain what ring size to make. So I'm going to push that onto the ring mandrel, and I'm actually going to put it one size larger than the ring size that I actually want. So I'm positioning it on there, making sure that the bead is sitting flat to the mandrel and not sliding around. And I'm going to bring the wire, the top wire, around and back to the back, and I'm going to do that on the other side as well. And you'll see that when you wrap the wires around, they don't overlap at the back. Let me show you the back. You see, it's nice and straight at the back. So you've wrapped it round once and one more time just to hold it. 2 wraps. And now with these ends, I know it does feel a bit like a living octopus when you're doing this, you bring one wire around the bead to completely surround it, and do the same with the other wire, but do it in the opposite direction. And you don't have to worry too much about neatness. I want it to look a little bit random and a little bit freestyle here, but just make sure that you're wrapping it around the bead, not leaving too many gaps. And when you sort of run out of wire, you should have at least 1 inch projecting on each side, because you'll need to wrap that around the shank of the ring. Then you're ready to take it off. So slide it off the mandrel, and with these projecting ends, if it's falling over the bead, just hold them back. These projecting ends, I want you to feed them back through, and you might need your pliers for this because it does help, back through and around the sides of the ring. And do that a couple of times. Just pull the wire around. I'm not going to neaten it yet because I'm going to go to the other side now just so that it hold it in place. So same thing on the other side. Get those side wires and just wrap them around to hold the coils of the ring in place. And now we can start neatening it up a bit. So this one now needs to be brought in a bit, and I'm going to cut off any excess, and the same on this side, cut off the excess. And you need to spend a little bit of time now just flattening out the wires sticking out. You don't want any protruding pieces that are going to catch onto clothes and so forth. So spend a bit of time just pushing those down and bring it back onto the mandrel, because it might have distorted, it might have gone out of shape just by handling it, and squeeze it with your pliers to sort of get the shape back in. If anything is sticking out or anything needs rearranging, and push those wires around the circumference of the bead to get a better shape or setting to your ring. And now take a look at the back. You've got to see, you see how it's actually decreased in size because these wraps have taken away some of that size. So push it to where you want it to be. And if you can stretch the wire by hammering it. If I just stroke it lightly, bring those wires back in and turn it over. Don't forget your mandrel is tapered, so you need to work it on each side, so turn it around. And then I can stretch them again. It's amazing how much you can actually change it to a one ring size, increase the ring size just by stroking it and stretching the wire. And then just keep rearranging until you're happy. And all that sort of stretching and rearranging toughens it up. And there you have a wrapped bead ring. You can actually make a sort of nest effect, if you like, to the outer contour as well. And I will just show you that extra bit of work that's done there. And that's done by making a coil. And you know you've made coils before when we did jump rings. So just curl the wire. Doesn't have to be beautiful. Just roll it around into an even size coil. I would say about at least an inch to make the surrounding, this sort of wiggly wave surrounding. It just gives it another finish. So you can either stop at that finish or you can do this as a sort of variation. There we go, there's your coil, cut it off. Stretch that coil out, and you'll see you get lovely wavy wire. And then put your bead, or your finished ring with a bead, back onto your ring mandrel, and if you take the center of this wavy length, it's easier to wrap one side round in one direction and then the other one later. So when you come to the end on one side, you need to pick up that very, very end and push it in to a little space that you can find so that it sits or connects in there to secure it. And then the other side, you do the same thing. Wrap it around and then find a gap and push it into a space that you can find. And just spend a bit of time rearranging it and getting it to feel secure. This is the wonderful thing about wire, is wherever you push it, it will stay, and it doesn't. It has flexibility, but if you keep working that flexibility, you actually take the spring out of it. And there you have a very unique one-off bead ring. So enjoy making these for yourself and your friends and family, and have fun with wire work.